Welcome back, everyone. Today's video is uh, for Christmas. I got Wendy a greenhouse. She wanted a greenhouse for a while now, and I got her one at Harbor Freight, a 8 by 12 greenhouse. Um, and there's not a lot of videos online. Well, there are a lot of videos online, but you've got to watch a whole bunch of different ones in order to get ideas for it or um, the best way to do things and the mods. So basically, this video is going to be um, for someone who's interested in the greenhouse. I mean, I've got lots of information in this. It's longer than I thought it would be because I didn't even film as I was working. It was mostly all um, just little talking clips, but it turned into be longer than I thought. But I think it's quite comprehensive for somebody who is going or thinking of this or doing this, or they actually have it and they want to know. So, like I said, I've been building for 40 years, so I took a little bit of building experience to put in with this Chinese engineering. So, hopefully, you find it useful. And like I said, if it's not something you're interested in, you might be fast forwarding through this because you might not be interested in all of it. But definitely watch the end because I'll talk about what I'm going to do next. And the first thing we have to start with is the pool. David and I had installed a pool back in 2016. There's some pictures here. So this was very difficult for me to take it down. I had just gotten it ready for the season right before tragedy struck, and I hadn't done anything with it after that, and probably wasn't going to. So ultimately decided that that would be the best place for the greenhouse is right where the pool was because there's water and electric, and it gets a little won't have to go far with supplies and that kind of thing. So that's what we did, and I've got a video here of taking down the pool, and then I'll get right to the greenhouse. And this is on a deck. It's not the standard way that they of the foundation that they give to install this. And there are a lot of other mods throughout, so I think it'll be useful to people. So enjoy. 10,000 gallons. Well, there's probably 8,000 gallons. It wasn't full. Figured I'd get it a little quicker. Get some water over here. I kind of compromised a little bit. I brought all the pull parts down into the back, and I buried them kind of over where the diversion trail is. So they're still kind of here in my mind. Well, of course, right now, when I wanted to start getting the platform built, it's decided it wants to rain. Why shouldn't it? We've had beautiful weather up until now, and now we got some rain. So I'm going to do one of the most boring parts that's needed on these panels. Have open ends. I don't know if you can just zoom in and take it over to the door. Well, take my word for it. The ends of that are open. And if you don't close them up, seal them up, you're going to get moisture and discoloring and mold growing in there. So I saw a guy on YouTube who he had his own 3D printer. I'll give him a little plug here. I'll leave a link to his video as well. But he's got a 3D printer, and he printed these out. And basically what it does is you put this over the end. There's a hole in the end. You put the caulk gun in there, and you slide this down. You just slide it down with the caulk gun, and that gets the caulk in there without getting it all over the place. And he also made some other spacers, which I'll show after, but they're wrapped up in here. And it was $50 with the shipping. And I think it's worth it to try to make that myself, or find it and find all these extra spacers that Harbor Freight didn't feel the need to include. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do now. So, I mean, you can kind of see there all these ends, and then here, well, luckily the sides are closed. It's just the ends where they cut it. And then I still have a whole lot more to go in that box. And what he recommends is to only do one side at a time, because the air pressure will start to push the caulk out. So I'm going to do all this side, and then tomorrow I'll do the other side. So I'm going to get to that fun. And a little trick for, like I said, you got to do one side and then do it tomorrow. So I don't know if you can see it. The lighting in here is not good. But you can see the caulk, and that you won't see that line because it'll be in the frame and it's inside. But I was trying to figure out how to stack them so they don't stick to each other. So what I'm doing is I turn, so this is the end that's got the caulk on it, you know, and it's got a plastic sheet over the panel, so that'll peel off afterwards, but I don't want them to all stick together. So if you take a look there, see, I'm alternating it. So this is the sticky side right now. So when I put the next one down, I'll put it over here. So this way, this edge has no caulk on it, and just alternate them back and forth like that. So I think that'll work. And here's a shot of my setup of how I do it. So I just got a couple of blocks, clamp it to the table, and then I just run right from this way and just run down. And if you keep this side pushed tight up against the panel, like almost put it on a little bit of an angle, it really doesn't bleed out. It all goes in. You can watch it. You can see what you're doing, because you'll watch it come in. You know, I'm trying to get it in about 3/8 of an inch, something like that. This way it'll be hidden by the frame, but it's in enough that it won't break the seal. And I don't expect this thing to last. I mean, maybe if it lasts 6-7 years, I mean, I guess that'll be lucky. All right, here's an interim shot. So this is where I'm laying it out, and there's no way to center it exactly between the poles because they weren't put in that way in the first place. The 3 of those were put in for the pool, and then this one was put in for the power and for the light. So they're not equally distant to what I'm doing, but so basically the frame is up, one in the middle just to keep it parallel, and squaring it, and I'll go over how to do that maybe at the end, how you can square a frame if you don't know how to do it. Basically it's just corner to corner, but with a calculator you can figure out what it is without having to go corner to corner. You just get what the diagonal is. Construction Master calculator. You can do it with a regular calculator too, but it's easier with the Construction Master. And we got one hole there, one in each corner, and I'm going to put 2 in the middle. And this isn't so much to hold it, it's to hold it down, so that we get a lot of hurricanes and high winds here, so this is going to keep it from blowing away. more so than it's not really going to hold any weight, because this pool pad, when I did it, David and I did it 4 years ago. It's level, so, and it's packed. Obviously, it had 10,000 gallons on it. So what's that? 60,000 pounds. No, 80,000 pounds. So it's not. It's packed and it's not going anywhere. And it's nice, easy digging. You can see everything here is sand. I mean, I dug that in about 40 seconds, maybe not even. That included going to get the post hole digger. But what I'm going to do is get all the holes in, and I'm going to put 4x4s down and then shoot them in and concrete in them. So that's just a little update in between. All right, here is the end of the first day. Obviously not a whole day, but so we've got nine posts, and that's plenty to hold it. That once that sets tomorrow, I put the decking on, and then comes the fun part of trying to put that greenhouse together, looking at the the directions half in Chinese. It looks very, shall I say, exciting. That's being nice, I guess. So we shall see, but I'll get a shot of the decking tomorrow. Okay, here is the start of the decking. Here's all the decking. It's 5/4 by 6, pressure treated. And what I'm going to do is, this is the side that's more visible, and I am going to go flush on the side. What I did was I put the frame together. Somebody else on another channel gave me an idea to put the frame together first so I could see exactly the size of it, because it's not very clear in the directions of it. Tells you what size perimeter to excavate out if you're going to bury it. Like I said, what they really want you to do is bury this in the ground like that and fill it to within 1 inch of the top with gravel, and I didn't want to do that. So I made this the framing is the exact size of the box, or the frame of that. And I'm going to try, I might not even be able to or have to use that metal. I may try to just put the rest of the frame together without it, but either way, this is the exact size of the greenhouse. And this way on the sides, it's got a little bit of a lip so the water wouldn't run in onto the floor. So I'm going to start on this side flush on the back side, and what I'll do is on that side I'll just scribe it. When I get to the last piece, I'll scribe it and rip it to the width. And then the only place I'm going to leave a little bit in the front, I believe, is where the door. Most of this front is a door anyway, so I'm going to leave them long here, and I'll snap a line and cut that straight across the front. So basically it's just putting this down. I'm going to leave 1/4 inch space between each one so the water can drop out, and that'll increase as these dry. They will shrink even further, so it'll be fine. It'll let any water drain right through. So that's what I'm going to do. And a quick tip for anybody doing this, or any decking really: if you look at the cupping of the grain, you always want to put this side up. You always want the cup, or that curve, to go down. You wouldn't want it to be like that, upside down. You'll get water trapped in here. It won't fasten quite as well. So just a little tip. All right, there's the decking. I left a 1 inch overhang in the front so I can trim it off to what I need. Sides are flush. So whether I just put the frame or I use that actual big metal C-channel. So there we go. Cut flush. So it's all ready, and as you saw, it's fastened down 9 different piles down in, so it's not going anywhere. So now I just got to wait for it to stop raining again. We got some rain. It just started to rain, so one of these months I'll get it finished. So back at it again after I don't know, it seems like 2 weeks of rain. But anyway, that is the frame or the base channel that they give you to put the greenhouse on. So, but since I built it on the deck, normally this would get filled up with gravel. So I do not want to have that. I don't think it'd be very strong anyway with nothing in between it. And I don't want to have a step. I don't want to have a step that you have to step up 10 inches to get in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip some 5/4 decking down to an inch or an inch and a quarter and run that around, and that'll be the same width as this. So then these are the base. Well, they're dirty now. I got to clean them off, but because of the rain. But that profile right there will sit on it, and it'll bolt in. So I'm going to go over the table saw. I'm going to rip that and get that installed, and I'll save this channel for something else. And here's a closer look at the underside of the channel. So this is what's going to sit on it. So it's an inch and a quarter is what that is. So I'm going to rip that to an inch and a quarter and get that fastened. Okay, that's all on. In the front, I left a lip. I left a 3/4 inch lip just because that's the door. This is the front, so the door will be there, and I'm going to put some pavers or something to get across from there. But there you have it. It's down with 3-inch screws. They're 3.5 actually, and so now the actual aluminum frame bolts to that. So from this now, everything's square and everything's ready to follow those Chinese directions. And also what I found putting this frame together in the front, well, not all of them actually overlap and they bolt together kind of like that, except it goes the other way. Except I can't hold the other one and hold the camera. So that goes underneath there. But this edge right here was the exact same size as that, so you can't overlap it. So what I did was I took a grinder, grounded it out, and again it's upside down, but now you can see it, that will fit inside. So again, Chinese engineering might be okay, but their fit and finish not so much. So I think there's going to be a lot of things like that that have to be done, unfortunately. Well, here's the end of this day. This was about, I don't know, 3.5 hours. Doesn't look like much, but the directions leave a lot to be desired, even after watching some of the videos. I got a few things together. Those are the, the top plate, so to speak, that holds the roof panels and the door track there, and then the rear
right there. So I did sort out, because they do number most of these. They number most of these things, like you see, like number 10. But some of them they don't, and then you have to try to figure out by looking at a teeny tiny little drawing about where it's supposed to go. So anyway, so I'll be back out tomorrow. It's supposed to be like 24 degrees tonight, so hopefully in the morning everything's not covered in frost, but hopefully it'll look a little bit more like a greenhouse tomorrow. Quick tip for installing the 2 top plates, especially if you're doing it by yourself. If you got somebody else to help you, it's not so bad, but take a couple of clamps, put it on, and the other thing, if you got yourself a plank, that makes it a lot easier. You can walk across, but you've got to take these bolts out that you've already put in on these cross beams, and inevitably, no matter how hard you try, this is going to drop down. So having this clamp here, it falls down, hits the clamp. It's on backwards. I had already taken this down, and I figured I'd make a clip here, but this is actually what it should look like. Have it face that way, so if this falls down, which it will before you can get to the other end, this will catch it so it doesn't fall. And that's why it's nice to have this plank, because you don't have to get down off a ladder and move it. As soon as you get that bolt in, you can come over here and do that. So just a little tip I found to make that easier. Another tip I'll give when you get to doing this section, all the panel struts, it gives you a number. I bought a organizer. It's a lot easier trying to remember what numbers are which. So you peel off the sticker off the bag, stick it on. So that's part number 66, 65, and the nuts are 67. So it'll tell you on there. So it needs 4 of the number 66s. So what I found the best way to do is to, like this one only needs 3. This one needed a 66, a 78, and a 66. So I put a nut on the bottom one and on the top one, because otherwise they all slide down, and this one is bigger, it needs to go in the middle, and then you can't get at it. And if it slides all the way down, it interferes with the bottom. So after doing a couple of them driving me crazy, I figured out that's the better way to do it. So when you go to install it, it kind of looks like that. So just another tip I found, because this thing will drive you crazy. I don't think I would take $10,000 to install this for somebody. This is just ridiculous. All right, in between the raindrops, this is how much I have gotten done. I'm trying to think if there's anything I wanted to say that you need to pay attention to. Again, the directions are horrible, too small, and you can't see anything. And one of the things that you got to pay close attention to is where these nuts go. You got to have the flatheads inside, because the panels go in there. They're not very clear. I actually put them, logically I said, well, if the top of the rivet is here, I put the flathead over here next to it. And of course that wasn't the way it had to go, so I had to take it apart. And again, these bolts here, it's not very clear as to which one goes on top, which one will be on top. And of course on this side I put them the opposite way, and what I mean by that is where the bolts were down on the wrong side of it, so I had to undo those and move them around. But very, very unclear in the directions. And getting the gables up on the back here, I had to do a little notching in that corner. It didn't line up. It wasn't even close to lining up. Overall, though, it goes together fairly easily. It's just trying to figure out what goes where. And so far, I haven't been missing any parts either, so that's a good thing. I've read some horror stories of other people missing parts. So the only thing that's left now, other than sealing up the panels, is just putting the rafters in. And if it doesn't rain tomorrow, I should be able to do all those, and then I'm going to have a few days of sealing up the panels, and I'll show you that as well, how I seal them up. So just have to wait till tomorrow. All right, here's a quick look at sealing up the edges. If you can really see, in these panels, they're open. These edges are open, not on the sides, but on the end where they cut it. They're channels. So, again, there's the tool that guy, and I'll put a link to it, made. So the gun sticks right in there. And it does a pretty good job. The problem is if the table moves or it gets stuck on some of this, there's a film over this, you get some thicker spots if it jams up, because it's hard to control that part. But you know, as you can see, there's a lot of panels, so it's kind of boring. But setting it up this way, there's Tiger. Hey Tiger, say hello. Say hello, Tiger. Setting it up this way can do each end. And one of the things I disagree with the guy who made this, he said just to do one end at a time because it'll push out. The pressure will push out. Well, I've found that even if you do one at a time, if you do this end and then wait till tomorrow to do that end, it still pushes out because the air still pushes against what's on this side. So I'm just doing them both at the same time, and I get less pushback on these big panels because there's so much more air in there that it takes a lot more to push it. You know, it can expand and not push it out. So I'm just going with doing them all in the same time. So I've got just those to do left, and then there's about 5 or 6 of them right there. So it's getting there, and I've kind of placed them all around the shop, just trying to let them dry so they don't stick to each other. So I'm going to get back to it. So I thought I was going to get lucky. I read a lot of reviews on people and watched videos of where people have gotten shorted parts, and I said, oh, I think we're good. I think we're good. So I'm short 3 things, and of course they're crucial things, so I'm going to make them because I'm not waiting months for these to come from China or wherever they'd come. But they didn't do one panel here because they could only do 8-foot panels. So this is supposed to have a Z-bar in it right here so that this panel can overlap this panel and not have water run down behind it. So those 3. So it's no big deal. I've got regular aluminum, unpainted. So I'm just going to bend it, and I'll show you that in another video. And then I'll show you after, when I get these installed, so you can see what it looks like and how it will work. All right, what I've done to fix this, or to fix it, is I've got some aluminum, 10-inch. I'm going to rip it in half, 5-inch, 2 pieces. I only need 3, but obviously I need to cut 2. And I'm going to make a Z-bar, kind of what is on the directions that they were supposed to send, but basically it's just going to be a drip cap so that the water runs down and keeps going past. So I'll just use the whole 5-inch and make the lip and install it in place. So that's what I'm going to use. And again, as I showed in my other video, this is a aluminum brake. This is for bending aluminum. So I'm going to make the Z out of that and put all 3 pieces into place, and then I can put the panels in. So just in case you don't know, what you do is just measure from this edge to there, 5 inches, 5 inches. And I got to do this one-handed because I didn't bring a GoPro down. So you got your lines right there. And this one doesn't matter if it's not exact, but it is. But I'm just saying, hold on. I gotta put the camera down for a second. Hold on. So once that lever is locked in, this is in place, 5 inches. You take your knife, one shot. I see people do it all the time. They run multiple passes. Don't do that. One thing, and I don't have the handle on here because this little piece you can bend with your hand. But you flip it up like that, give it a couple of shakes, and it's ready to go. So I'm going to do that again, and then I'll measure off. I'll show you when I measure off what the piece is going to be. So what we're going to make, and my daughter will crack up about this because I'm always using a Sharpie to show people stuff. I always have one in my pocket. It's going to be a piece like this. It's going to come out for the panel, and it's going to come down. So one panel is going to be in here, and one panel is going to be here. And what that's going to allow is the water is going to run down like this and go past. So that's what we're making. So the smallest bend that you can make with this brake, if you look here, is 3/4 of an inch. So basically what I'm going to do is just come down. You can do 3/4 and 3/4, but I'm going to do an inch, 3/4, and then the rest of it will be up, so it'll look like that. So that's what I'm going to make right now. So the first thing I did was measure an inch here, here, and then I'm going to bend this a little past 90. So, you know, if you're looking at it, it's now that's 180 degrees, right? So we're going to bring it up to 90, but I'm going to go farther than that because it's a bigger piece and I want it to be in tight. So I'm going to pull this up as far as it'll go. It's probably like 110 degrees, right? So there you go. That'll give it a little better coverage. So usually I do this on horses, not on here. But then, because as I said, this is 3/4, I don't need to measure. I don't need to measure this last one. But I do have to put the camera down again because I have to hold it in place as I tighten up the clamp. So let's just put it down. You can listen to me. Okay. So it's tightened from there. Bring this up. Loosen it up, and there is your Z-bend. And see, it's canted in. It's canted in, so that'll keep it closer to the panel. So I just got to make 3 of those, and I'll show you when I install them. All right, so there's the Z-bar cut and installed, and the panel will now go in there. So I'll show you afterwards, and I'll do the other 2, and I'll show you when it's done. Thank you, Harbor Freight. Good thing I can fix it. Okay, there's a look of it. Z-bar's on, all 3. All the panels are in. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next, but it's the end of the day. It's just about 5:30 now. I got everything in, and I have to build the doors. That's the only thing I have left to do is put the doors together, not build them, but just assemble them, and I'll show you. This is going to get fastened in between, and there's going to be caulk, and there's going to be rope insulation. I'll show you all that afterwards, but I just wanted to show you what I had to do to fix what the Chinese didn't feel like putting in the box that day. I did mine out of order a little bit from the booklet, the way they have it. I didn't want to do the doors. It didn't make any sense to me to do the doors before the panels were on, before those side panels were on. They wanted those on first. And to me, it didn't really make any sense. At first, I thought maybe they wanted it to make sure that the doors worked, and then it would move the building to fit the doors, because these doors don't have any adjustments. Most sliding doors, you can adjust the rollers, and I do not see any adjustment on these. So that one, I got one on already. That one, it slides okay. What I'm going to do, and I'm going to do on most of the panels anyways, I'm going to caulk, I'm going to silicone all these panels, because it's very, if you look at it, when the panels move. I mean, it's the frame is just not that strong. So I'm going to get them both to where they work. I'm going to make sure they work, and I'll do one door at a time, because I don't want to slide it. I don't want to caulk it and then slide it. I want to caulk it in place, and then I'll caulk the next one the next day. This way I won't move it before it sets up. So that's what I did. It just made more sense to me, and it seems to work. And I'm working on the last one now, and I did one door one way and one the other way. But when I did that door, I put all these braces on this side and then put the panels in as I went, and then put it all together, you know, put this side on. But what I did, that one didn't seem to work that well. I didn't like doing it that way. So what I did was I just started from the bottom, put the panel in, put the next strut in, screwed it together. There's enough play, and you can slide it in. So I've worked them this way. This way the door isn't moving back and forth. So I would recommend doing that on the doors. And if I come up with anything else afterwards, I'll let you know. But I'm just going to finish this door and get it hung. Well, what I decided to use, a little white lithium grease in the track up there, and now it rolls pretty good. That door still doesn't roll as well. I don't like this one. I gotta look at it to see, but I couldn't get it to slide at all before. I think once the door is silicone rigid, then I think it'll be better. Well, either that or it'll be worse, because then if it gets to a point where it needs to move and it won't, but I don't want it. I don't want it moving around. It'll fall apart, I think, because it's only these screws. And another tip: don't use a screw gun or an impact on these, because you use a screwdriver and you can strip them. So do not use any battery tools on those. Just use the screwdriver. It goes in easy, but stop. Don't wait for it to get tight, because they don't really get tight. They get snug, but they don't get tight. And as this whole year's been going, from North Carolina, South Carolina, rain, 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 rain. So it just started raining again. But I got the doors closed. So I'm going to start working on, if you remember, I talked about, or showed in my other clip in here about how I sealed the end of the panels. And this is the guy who invented it, and I'm going to put his link on here, see if I can find it and stick it in this spot. If not, it'll be in the description. But it was $49 with shipping, and this is what I got. So this is where it was from. And I'm not getting any promotion from this, so I'm just trying to help the guy out. He did a good job. This thing really worked great. And this is worth 49 bucks by itself, I gotta say. But got a sticker, and he also made, and I haven't even opened these yet, but I saw in his video, he also 3D printed. These go up here for the top, I believe, and for the bottom. And then these go here. So what you do is you put that in the middle, put that in the middle of the panel, take a 3/4 inch sheet metal screw, self-tapper, and when you go on the outside you can see the hole. So what you do is you screw through the panel, and the screw will not come through here, but that will stop the center of this panel from moving. And he 3D printed it to be the same thickness as what these struts are. So yep, for $49, that's what you get. And he gave 4 of these, and in theory you could use them. You'd need 4, because if you did it, he recommended, as I said, doing one side of the panel at a time and let it dry. I found it didn't matter, so I just did them both, and it worked the same as if you did them both. I mean, it does push one side out, but regardless, even if the other side was done and allowed to dry, it still pushed out. So, but what I did was, because I didn't do them all in one day, I cleaned them. I mean, this is the one I used. I mean, you can look at it. I mean, I cleaned it back out, so it only took a second. I mean, here's a new one. So, I mean, you really can't tell. So, very, very well worth it. Another thing I did as well is I also put a sheet metal screw through all the corner braces into the struts, so that that will actually stiffen up this wall. It'll actually give a lot more rack resistance to everything. So, and when I build the shelves inside, it's going to be a 4x4, 2x4 frame. I'm going to put the 4x4s all the way in the corner, push it up against everything, and then there'll be diagonals. You know, the 2x4s will go all the way around. And I think I'm going to take some half-inch EMT electrical conduit, and I'm going to put, which will almost be like collar ties in regular construction. I'm going to go across from there to there with electrical conduit. Basically, you just cut it to size and bend the ends, put it in a vise, drill a hole, and that'll give a lot of strength to the roof as well. So, and here's just a quick shot of what they look like with those go in. Now you can snap those off. He's made them so that you can break off. I haven't screwed them yet because it's raining, so I'm not going to snap them off. But I don't know. I almost like them. But see, one broke off on me already over here when I stuck it in. But that's how that works. So you can see it from the outside and just drill through it, and good to go. He used rubber washers underneath his screws. I'm not going to do that. I don't think that. I'm not going to screw the roof. I have them on the roof, but I'm not going to screw them. I'm going to actually caulk those. I don't want to put holes in the roof. So I'm going to just leave those as a spacer and just run silicone in there, and that'll hold that part down. And I did have extra clips. I know a lot of people said that they didn't have enough and they bought extra, but I actually got a lot left over. Not enough to do double, but I'm going to put them on the roof. I'm going to try to double up all the ones on the roof as well, as much as I have. As much as I have, that's what I'm going to do. If I have some left over, even from that, then I'll put some on the panels. I'd probably do it on these big panels in the back. This is the one wall that I don't think they engineered very well, is this back wall. I think they should have put a piece of angle across there, not just flat. It should have been an angle. Probably 3 angles going across instead of these flat. That would have stiffened it up. But when I put the shelving in, I'm going to attach this to the shelving, so that will stiffen it up. But if you didn't do that, I mean, I don't know if you can see that, but you see just this wall shaking is shaking that side. Obviously they're all attached. So yeah, so if anybody does this, builds one of these, gets one of these, make sure you do these mods. Look at other people's too, to see. But you definitely don't want to leave it just like this, because you get one good storm, and it'll probably look like a pretzel, and it'll be in somebody else's yard. All right, so the other thing I did, I came out so you can see how the screw goes through. I put some caulk over that afterwards just so it doesn't rust. But I also am doing up the gable, because they don't give you anything to fasten this to the gable. These panels. So I'm gonna screw those as well up there. And you don't need the spacers on those because they're pretty much flat against it anyway. So I was in between on the raindrops here, so trying to get it done. Well, I decided to caulk the door panels to the frame to stiffen it up, and it did work. Worked well, and I did it from the inside because it was raining. And the only problem is it doesn't look very good. I didn't realize that you could see so much of that. So when I do that one, because like I said, I only wanted to do one at a time, I'm going to do it from the outside right here, and it'll look good. You won't be able to see it. So don't make the same mistake I did. If it's raining, just wait. Because I'm not going to fix it. Not that it matters, but it matters to me a little bit. I don't like to do stuff like that, but nothing I can really do about it. So just anybody else in the future, don't do it. And here's that rope insulation that I was talking about earlier, which I'm going to run down at the base there. I had this left over. I've got a whole bunch of it. I had it left over from a job some years ago, window job. So basically, let me zoom this back a little bit. It's gonna go. It's not easy to do this one-handed. I should have got the GoPro out, but that just pushes in there. And these spacers work perfect for pushing it down. So if you just get it started, run it across, I mean, you could do this before you put these blocks in, but either way, it doesn't matter. Then you just pull it off over there, but you just push them down with this. You can run it right along, so like that. And then I'm still going to leave these, I'm trying to space these into the middle a little bit like that. And then so just down the line, and it goes, and I'm probably going to put it up along the edge as well. And I'll show you after what I did. I've caulked the whole outside. I caulked all the screw heads. I've caulked all up here. Well, I've done one side of it. I'm going to come back and do the both sides. But those are all done, so those panels will not shake in the wind. And after, let me just finish this rope. I got to finish all down there as well, and I'll get a shot from the outside. Another great place for this that I just decided would be good to try is around the windows, all the windows, the skylights. It keeps this really shakes, and the other thing is it'll make the window heavier, because this, I gotta come up with something else for this, because the wind will suck this thing up. I mean, they really need a catch over here. They need something to keep that from being able to come down, because that allows it to shake. So I'm going to come up with something better for this. But anyway, but I'd recommend putting that around the window as well, because you can see the space there, and it makes it nice and tight. Alright, starting the inside bracing in the shelving. 4x4 in each corner. I got a zip tie up there holding it in place right now, and it's screwed in, towed at the bottom, and there'll be 2x4s like that all the way around. And Wendy actually only wants shelves on one side for right now, so I'm going to put another 4x4 here, and then there'll be the this will be where the shelves go. But I just wanted to show you how I stiffened up this back wall. It really shook a lot before, as I showed, but I took advantage of these joining plates that they had, and I had a hole left over from years and years. I mean, I've been doing this for, I don't know, 37 years? Since 1981, however long, many years that is. Actually, it's 40 years now. Wow, I could do the math. But now, see, that stiffened it up. Nice. And there's still going to be more down here anyway. But all I needed to do was drill one. That hole actually worked perfectly. I just drilled another hole here, screwed it into the 2x4 there. And it's going to go around the whole way around to stiffen this thing up, to keep it from racking in a wind. So I just figured I'd give you a little tip on that. That works pretty good. Here's the one over the front door. And to fasten that, I'm still going to use brackets, but there's no mending plates there with bolts in them. So I didn't pre-think this ahead of time in order to, these screws, the bolts actually fasten, they slide in that channel. If you look at that channel right there. But you got to slide it in from the end, and I'm not undoing everything to get those in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill the same size as the head. It's a square head, so when it goes in that slot, it fits. But what I'm going to do is, I'll do it so you won't even see it. I'm going to drill it right in the middle of the bracket. This way it won't even weaken it. You wouldn't want to drill it in the middle, because that'll weaken that strut a little bit. So I'm going to drill it there. I can get 2 in, and then just screw it down into here as normal. So another tip for you. And here's how I did the side, right up at the top. That type of bracket right there. Same thing. I just put it down here. I couldn't do it up top, so and that really, I mean, this whole thing is stiff. I don't even have the other side on yet, but it's going to be the same on that side. Then another 4x4 will be here for the shelf. These will come across, and I'm going to tie the shelves in as well. The the frame of the shelf will tie in as well along here. So this will be very good. And as I said before, I'm going to put the EMT conduit up top for collar ties as well. And I tried to get, we had some wind come before, and that window was flapping open, and I wanted to, every time I tried to video it, it would stop, but I wanted to get it. Maybe I'll get it again. but you could see how it was flapping open. So I've definitely got to fix that, and I'll try to make a clip on that as well when I figure out what I'm going to do. I decided to use wire shelves instead of wood. This way, when things are watered, it'll drip right through, and you can hang a light from it and all that without having to put extra wood. I got this first shelf up, but I wanted to show how I did it. And if you do this, this is actually I don't know what you call it. It's more of a critter. It's like a critter wire. You can make a cage or whatever out of it. They're 1-inch squares, but it's wound up very tightly. So be careful when you cut it. They wrap it up. They have like a wire that's wrapped to hold it together, and is very wound very tightly, too tightly, I think. But in order to get it to go as well as it can be, to be laid out, this is the way you want to do it. Don't try to cut the piece ahead of time to length. Wait till it gets closer to the end and then cut it, because then it gets a lot of kinks in it. But what I do is I've got a rope, and I just put a carabiner on it and keep tension. When you can see, it keeps it nice. And then I have some just using these galvanized. They work very well, and so I just figured I'd give you another tip on that. Just otherwise, you're gonna have a lot of problem if you try to pre-cut it. And for keeping the critters out, not that it locks, but this just flips up and locks on there. So it was 2 eye bolts. Just drill 2 holes, and then to keep the door from popping off, I can't even hardly see it, but to keep it from popping off, I put a bolt right there, so this way the door can't come to the end, because that's the one thing I don't really care for, the design. They didn't do a very good job on the doors. This door rolls very nicely. Look at it. Nice. Listen to this one. You can hear it grind. And it loves to pop off the track. You see there's a roller there, but it's very easy. This one very much wants to jump off, and there's no adjustment on it. Normal sliders have an adjustment, so you got to keep putting it back on, but this one doesn't slide as good, and that one always wanted to pop off, so that's what gave me the idea to put that there as a stop. I don't believe that's why the hole is there. I think it was there as a drain hole, but it was nice I didn't have to drill a hole, so that was good. So here's how I'm making the struts. This is 1/2-inch EMT, and I'm going to do 2.5 inches on each side. So I measured across. It's 56 3/4 from here, 2.5. Then it'll go horizontal, and then it'll have an angle back down again. But what you want to do, if you don't know about EMT, if you can really see it, I don't know if it'll zoom in, but there is a line, because when you bend EMT, you need to know when you bend this side, it matches up with that side. So you will see a line. Sometimes this one is actually etched right into it. Sometimes it's a black mark. Sometimes they just put like a black, I don't know how they do it, but it's just a black mark. But this one is etched. So when you put it into the vise to crush this down, because this is where we want the bend, you have to make sure, it doesn't matter how you do it, but you want to use that line as a reference to make sure you bend it exactly the same on that end. Because if you do bend one here and then you turn it that way, they won't sit flat against the roof. So what I did, I just orientated the line on top, and I don't know if I'll be able to finish this, but you just crank the vise down. I'm not using my biggest vise. I haven't mounted it again yet on a new bench, but that one will really crush it nicely. This is the bench that used to be in my tool trailer, so I'm going to use that. But you get the idea. You just crunch that down, and then here's the angle. Let's see. So with that angle finder, you just have to bend it to that angle. You can just check it you can just put that up if you have one of these, or you can get an electronic one, or you can just eyeball it. Either way, but that's the angle. And so that's about the bend, you see. So that's all you do is this is the horizontal part. This goes across the ceiling, and that's going down thereafter. So that's how you do it. And then we just got to drill holes and put in the bolts. But I got to do the other side, but you just do the same thing on this side as to that side. So there you have it. That bend. Just got to drill 2 holes into here, and then it'll bolt in just like it'll slide into the track, just like we did on the other things. So I'm gonna go do that. And here's how I fixed the problem I told you about the skylights. I just took an L bracket, a small L bracket, and straightened it out in the vise. And so now, this can still hook up, but when it's locked, this handle can't fall down. See, when it's down like that, the wind can suck that up. But when that's up like that, then it can't. So that's what I did for that. I think that was simple, easy, and I had it. I didn't have to go get it. Like if you look at the other one, you'll see how it's hanging down. Even though it's in, it's not flapping, but it's down. So, well, you can't see the other one. And this one I have open because it's hot in here, but I'm going to do the same thing to all those, and that'll work pretty good. Okay, finally, here is the end. Well, it's almost the end, but it's the end of this video. So here's the finished product. What I did, I've got the 2 shelves in there, 2 shelves in here. We've got some trees that we purchased already that are going to go way back down there to block the little bit of view that my idiot neighbor can have up towards us where the fence is. So we bought 50 trees. There they are. So those are in there for now until we can plant them, probably another 3 weeks. And Wendy's got some seed starting potting mix she's going to start. I've got a piece of 3/4 inch EMT ready to hang our grow lights, and I am going to run electric, which I'll show you. But I've got these 2 shelves, and here on this side she wants to leave it open for putting in trees, but I told her that I can put in a table, which I want to try a thing from Millennial Farmer. He does this all the time, so I'll show you. Here we go with the table. So there we go. I love that trick. Probably didn't do it as good as he does, but maybe he won't sue me, and I'm giving him credit for doing it. I love that trick that he does. If anybody doesn't watch Millennial Farmer, you should. And he doesn't know who I am, so I'm not saying it for any reason. I just like to watch his channel. So you can see I've got all the parts that I made that Harbor Freight could easily do with the 1/2 inch EMT of the collar ties. We're going to be ordering self-opening and closing by temperature, whatever you want to call them, motors for all the glass. I'm going to be running electric in here. I'm going to run the junction here. What we're going to do is have an exhaust fan there. There will be electrical plugs here. I'm going to run it in BX. I've got a whole roll, 1,000-foot roll of 12.3 BX, which is perfect for in here. I do not need to, this way I don't have to bend conduit and all that. Much easier to run in here, and there's no reason not to use it. So it is going to come off. It is going to come off here. This switch broke a long time ago, which operates that light, and I've got a new one. Not that I have lots of switches, but I'm going to replace that. I just haven't done it. I'm going to come out of here with a 1/2 inch LB down under the ground, come up in there in the floor, and that will be our power source. So there's a look. So got extra clips. All the panels are caulked around. I'm going to caulk around all the panels actually, because I've heard, they can fly out. These clips are not the greatest. They hold them in place, but I'm going to caulk as much as I can. There's that side. As you saw, that side is very well supported. This thing does not move. It does not move. I mean, that is totally braced, and I will guarantee that the frame of this unit will stay in. I can't say the panels will. They're still plastic. But what I am going to do, if we do, or I shouldn't say if we do. Oh, there's Tiger. Tiger, hey. But when we do get a hurricane, I'm going to put tie downs here, 6 of them, and I'm going to run ratchet straps up and over. Not crank them down tight, but enough that it will hold the panels down and will hold the frame in place. And I've got plenty of tie downs. So, yeah. So that will be just about a wrap for this. Wendy, now it's time for Wendy to get busy. And this was her Christmas present. So what is today? Today is February 10th. Her birthday is on the 23rd. So at least I got it done before her birthday. But I should have already gotten it done. But with the rain and everything we've gotten. So I'd like to thank her for wanting to do it. Again, it was hard for me to take the pool out. But this was a much better thing. We weren't going to use it again anyway. So this is a better spot. And I'd like to thank David from Farm Life NC for giving me dimensions of things when I asked pre-construction. So I'd like to thank him for doing that as well. And if you don't watch his channel, you should, because he grows a lot of things and does a lot of cool things, and you'll get a lot of info, and the videos are nice to watch. And the next thing that I'm going to do, I've got trees to take down, and unfortunately these 2 trees need to come down because the sun, as it comes around, that's basically west over there. So these trees need to come down because they're blocking the sun, the sun's ability to get into the greenhouse. So unfortunately, I mean, when we got here, these trees were about this big. But what I'm going to do is I was going to cut them down and just move them with the tractor. But in order to give you guys a little bit of video, I'll bring the 250 over here and rip those down and crunch them, as well as I've got some trees up there. And I'm also going to make a better viewing area for the, as I called it, the mobile mansion, for the single wide, where it's got a good view of the lake. So I'm going to do that. So that'll be the next video that comes up. And what do you want to say, Tiger? You coming to get in the video? And on that note, I'm going to say, come on, say it. Tiger, say thank you for watching. And I'll catch you on the next one.